So you conceive a brand, do the back end work, and launch your website. And then there's a challenge. No one knows about it. Growing beyond family and friends is one of the hardest things to do. And this is what I want to talk about today. I'd like to welcome to the show Robin Safara, owner of Thoughtful Collection, and Josh Hargett, owner of Above Sportswear, both of whose websites can be found linked in the video description. So Robin, Josh, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Before we get into details, I want to quickly get a better understanding of your business. So tell us what you sell, how long you've been in business, who your target audience is. And Robin, let's start with you. Tell us a bit about Thoughtful Collection.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. So I launched thoughtfulcollection.com in January of this year. So just about, 8-9 months ago. And it is an online gift shop. So think about a bricks and mortar gift shop you might see, on Main Street when you're on vacation and you would go in and browse around. It's that, but online. So you get to do that browsing from the comfort of your home. And I'll talk a little bit later how that's an e-commerce challenge. But yeah, it's what I have tried to do to make my brand special and unique is how I source my products. So everything on the website you can feel good about. So not only am I catering to thoughtful people who are looking for gifts, but the gifts there are thoughtfully curated. So they're coming from women-owned businesses, small businesses, diversity forward, eco-friendly brands that give back. And then I give back as well on a monthly basis, making donations to charity.
Wonderful. And quick question, we'll get into some specifics on products and things like that, because that'll come up in natural conversation about growth and audience and things like that, targeting channels. But you talk about a gift shop, right? So if I'm going to Main Street, I don't know, it's just throw me up in the Jersey Shore because it's, no offense, Jersey, not my favorite place, but we're in the Jersey Shore. I'm going to buy something. Typically, am I buying like a small thing to give someone? Like, I'll give you an example. It might not be what you sell at all, but like you get a bottle of olive oil or hot cocoa mixes or something, or is it more gift basket oriented? Can you kind of walk us through a little bit of the SKUs that you might carry?
So small products. I do a lot on social media with combining my products to give people ideas. Like if you wanted to grab one of our cute gift bags and put several things in it for this particular gifting occasion, I give those ideas. But as a shopper, you could pick one small item like a hot chocolate mix. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Hot chocolate. All right. Thanks, Robin. We'll get back to you in just a second. Josh, tell us a bit about Above Sportswear and same kind of rundown on your side.
Definitely. And thanks again for having me on. I know I'm part of OmniSense team as well. So, actually before I go into that, I actually saw or listened to a podcast of you, Greg, before I even applied to OmniSense. That was like my first intro to OmniSense. So it's kind of a full circle moment to
who says podcasts can't convert people?
Exactly. Now it's a retention strategy, I guess. Now, so Above Sportswear, it is a brand that I launched. I announced it in like late 2022. Launched my first collection in April. It's kind of very, very similar timeline as you, Robin, but just beyond friends and family. It's like, the brand itself is a luxury sportswear brand. So that could mean performance gear. It could mean like sweatshirts and hats and hoodies and stuff, but more so for sportswear, the sport, like the younger, like active market that is needing sportswear that also wants to fit in with that like streetwear style. Streetwear is like a huge market right now. And it's also like there's a lot of hype around it. There's a lot of like streetwear brands like the New York area, the LA area, and they're launching, cotton and heavy cotton t-shirts, heavy hoodies, and it's stuff that growing up in Texas, I never bought because it was always so hot. And so you take all these sportswear brands or activewear brands that are really great quality material, but they don't have as much designs on them, that they don't necessarily fit more like loose, like a more traditional streetwear brand does. So I saw an opportunity to combine those. And that's where I'm starting now. So ideal customer, usually around 20 to, and this might change. Obviously I've only been doing this for less than a year. So, it will change, but right now we're going for about 20 to 30-year-old, men typically, but a lot of women have been buying sweatshirts and hats and stuff. So it's been cool to see that kind of everyone. It's now already becoming like a gender neutral brand. But yeah, sportswear and activewear merged together here.
And Josh, have you ever sponsored a pickleball team?
I think we are in the works of that right now. Actually,
Shameless plug.
I'm wearing
I'm
is one
working
of
on
our
it.
performance hats. That's like full nylon, so that'll be much better than the cotton hats for those hot pickleball days. So I'll send
Very
some
good.
out soon.
Very good. So I find this interesting with the mix of businesses here. So sportswear, apparel, athletic, right? Hyper competitive market, tough to break into. Robin, like you have, it's gifting. I love the fact that you have a unique aspect to it because in some respects, right, people are looking for gifts. There's tons of gifting sites out there, a lot of them owned by big companies, but also there's like some commodity products in there too, where people might just go to Amazon and go, okay, give me the finest hot chocolate I can find on Amazon, right? And you kind of thrown in the mix there. So I think there's unique challenges on both your sides. So I'll say this from the onset, right? Family and friends, it's normally where every business starts. You tell those people you hope the word of mouth spreads there. Same thing, you could launch social media sites or social media pages, but until someone follows you, no one knows you're there as well. What did each of you guys do from the onset to kind of get some exposure for your brand, kind of beyond that family and friends? And if you haven't really done anything beyond family and friends, has there been a specific angle that you've talked to people you know that has proven to be a little more effective than others? Can you, and feel free to jump in, anyone who wants to take that one.
Yeah.
But I see Robin not on your head, so I'll start with you if you like.
Yeah. So basically what I did before the launch in January, I was pumping it up on my personal social media, talking to friends about it, like you said, and generating excitement for the launch date. I also did an in-home preview of what I had collected so far and, did some sales there. What I'm finding is working well. I've done some paid social media, but where I decided to use my advertising dollars, and Greg, you and I have talked about this, like I'm self-financed. So if I'm going to put money into something, I want to be able to sell it and get that money back. So paid advertising's been a tough thing so far. I know I need to do it, but until I'm generating more revenue, I'm just kind of saving that. So what I've decided to do to shift my mindset in the advertising realm is put those dollars toward vendor pop-up shop opportunities. So setting up, like lots of schools do these things. So they'll get, 50, 60 vendors together and do, a weekend show. So I've been doing that. And we'll have a lot coming up in the holiday season. And so, there I'm getting sort of that brick and mortar foot traffic that I can't get online. And then, I'm explaining my brand, evangelizing what I'm doing, why it's special, pushing them out to my social media, encouraging them to join my email list, things like that. I had my first person I don't know customer order exactly on my 6-month anniversary. So that was pretty cool. I was at a pop-up event, so I was like doing the thing I just described and got a little ping order. So and it was the last one, so I grabbed it quickly off the display, stuck it under the table, and was just so excited to have that first order from somebody I did not know.
So question, did you follow up with that person by chance? Email them, call them, ask them how they found out about you?
I did not. So I do notes with all of my orders. Okay. So I did let them know, like, hey, you were my first. I don't know. Well, I don't think I did because I was worried that maybe somehow I did know this person and didn't realize it. So I didn't want to admit to not knowing them. But just I shared that, like it was my 6-month anniversary and I was at this event and your order came up and it was exciting. But no, I did not reach out personally.
That's awesome. And Josh, how about you?
Yeah, to that note, Robin, actually, I had a similar story. When the best feeling ever was when I got my first order from someone I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like friends and family, obviously, always going to appreciate them supporting me, and that was like obviously one of the things that helped me start this. But that first random order was like I was on cloud 9. Mm-hmm. I actually did write a note as well. I do notes with my orders as well. I wrote a note and said, "Hey, you're my first." I can't remember how I worded it, but I did say you were my first, I think cold order, or my first Facebook ad order, and we'll get into the paid side because I tried to run Facebook ads, I canceled all of them because I didn't know what I was doing. And then I turned out I actually had met her before. She was a friend of a friend that she was a friend of my wife's that I met at a wedding. So it was like a split second. So it was kind of awkward that I said that. So I did what you were fearing to fearing to do there. Um, but yeah, in terms of getting started and kind of just getting it off the ground, friends and family was, I mean, they were great. I had a lot of friends who reposted it, and I asked a couple of my friends, hey, if you like, if you like the brand and like if you like want to associate with the brand, if you don't, I completely understand. But if you do, would love for you to reshare like anything that you like see on the site that you like, or any social media posts that you think are cool. Like go ahead and just throw them up on your story. And so you did that, or I did that, and then you had like a domino effect after that. So other friends would see it, like acquaintances would see it, and then they would repost it. And then eventually I had people reposting like my launch date that I had only had like maybe one or two classes with in college, like 4 years ago. And so that was cool to see. So it was like a domino effect there, but all on social media, just on Instagram, really.
So I find this interesting. So Robin, you taking the approach of, hey, I can go online and spend my money on Facebook or Instagram ads, kind of like Josh did here. But you said you're going to take that locally and kind of build a bubble and get out and go for word of mouth locally.
Yeah.
The common sense, or not common sense, but like the conventional wisdom would say, let's do the social media ads. That's where everyone is spending their dollars. That's where companies are doing it. Everyone's on social media now. Why did you make the decision to go local? Was it because you didn't know what you were doing? Was it fear? Was it just thinking you can get a better return from a local side of things? Why did you choose not to do social media right away?
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily a conscious choice at first. It was at my second or third pop-up, and it was one I'd spent a bit on. I think it was like $100 entry fee. It was the most expensive one I had done. And I'm sitting there and it wasn't going that well. And that's when I realized, hey, it's not, but I could have spent $100 on Facebook ads and not made a single sale. And I've made a few $100s tonight. I paid for my booth, so that was kind of the turning point for me to say, okay, let me just try to build this a little more organically and at home. And I think for us, for my brand, like I still kind of want to be someone's local gift shop, even though they're not going to come into a store for me. Most of my orders are local because I have had some repeat orders from the pop-up shops that I've done or the vendor events. So I hand deliver those. So you could order something from me and potentially have it that day if I happen to be home, or by the next morning. And people are really digging that, because what I want to provide for people is the convenience of doing something easy when you're giving a gift, but combining that with the thoughtfulness. So kind of what I see as my next marketing wave is somewhat telling people, like, step away from the grocery store gift card kiosk. Like, you can do better. Don't just pick up a gift while you're waiting in line to check out your groceries. Like, you can be thoughtful and still get something quick and feel better about your gift giving experience. And that person's going to remember you and the thing you gave more than they're going to remember, oh yeah, Robin gave me an Amazon card for my birthday, I think, so.
Yeah. So do you think you'll get into social spend at some point?
Yes, definitely. So I've applied for a grant, and fingers crossed, if I get it, that will be where I start investing. Because like, as I've shared, like it's something financially I can't quite commit to doing right now. As I'm continuing to try to figure out what products people want. So, I have order minimums and things like that from these vendors. So, I may end up with a whole lot of something that no one's buying. So there's already, some revenue to make up. So then, advertising for something that might gain me a few likes, but not even a sale, is just not something I'm ready to do.
All right. So I want to pivot this back over to Josh now, because we'll use Josh as our guinea pig here. So the story you kind of said when you were laughing, Josh, was something you hear all the time. I tried to do some ads. I didn't know what I was doing, and I get sales from it. Right. And that is I mean, that's a common story. I'd probably say 95% of people that do it for the first time, they have no idea what they're doing. And I know the first time I did it, I was clueless and I was like, well, just up the budget there. Uh, so can you walk us through that a little bit, Josh? Tell us, like, why did you choose the strategy you did? Was it a quick Google search? Not a quick one, but like, was it a surface level Google search to figure out like the best strategy and you applied that? Kind of walk us through your approach and kind of lessons learned from that.
Definitely. So, I mean, I've done Facebook ads before. It's just that I didn't realize, I guess, how important the creative was, and the call to action. So I'm bootstrapping this as well, and so I don't, I didn't do the whole like studio team, the $10,000 photo shoot to get, to get professional content. And I also didn't put as much emphasis on UGC content, which is one of the changes that I'm making, and we can get into that later. But like getting like actual customers to post or to give me and send me videos and pictures, that probably would have worked better. But all I had was, it was a picture of a hat on like a tennis court, and I thought it was cool. What I learned is that just because I thought it was cool does not mean that a random person on Facebook ads or Instagram ads will think that's cool enough to buy the product. And so I look back at it now, even like a few months after, and I'm like, this didn't highlight the product at all, or the mission behind the brand, or what we're doing. And so I think going forward, like I just thought that I could pump some money in and make a cool picture, convert into sales, which is obviously not how that works. But the mission of the brand is like going forward with the notion of being above the noise will be more storytelling, I guess, in the ads, which we've yet to test, but that's the plan.
So if you were to redo that, Josh, let's take the same creative, right? Hat on a tennis court, we'll say pickleball court this time.
Pickleball.
You can tell what I'm working on here. I'm working on a sponsor.
You can be the UGC.
So if you did that again, would you hire a quote unquote professional photographer? Would you find someone, like most people have someone in their family or circle of friends who are actual photographers, but they're not maybe retail product photographers? What would be your approach next time if you were to do a similar concept?
Yeah, so I am going to be investing a bit more in the photography side of things. So I do have someone hired for the next shoot. So yes, I will be doing that. But I mean, really, it's just, and I don't want to pretend like I have answers here because I haven't tested it yet. But I'll have a lot of tests going. So one thing I have learned working on the Omnisend team for so long is that it doesn't matter really what you think or what you think is going to work. Which I should have taken that advice from the beginning, but even on the email and SMS side, it doesn't matter until you test it. So going forward, what I'm going to be doing is, yes, investing in better photo, video, but also testing more UGC, testing more storytelling, probably lean more on video instead of like just photo, or at least carousel, just something that keeps attention longer. And video, obviously you can tell more of a story easier. So like 15-30 second short film video.
So you guys have both mentioned storytelling in the course of this conversation today. So how are you finding organic social? Because organic social, the reach has been dwindling for years. Are you guys finding high engagement like you expected, or below average engagement when you guys are doing something on social?
I'm pretty bummed about it. Yeah, it's real hard to not compare yourself in the social media space. So it's like, why does this, Labradoodle have 4 million likes, but my very worthy product has my son and a teacher and 2 of his friends. So, like, it's endlessly frustrating, but you have to keep showing up there. And, I don't know, I'm maybe like a little resentful how much time I have to spend on social media for when I get back from it.
You found the same thing, Josh?
Yeah, for me, I really that was my only strategy, was social media. So right now I'm living in Florida. I'll be moving to Texas here pretty soon to get back to more of like easier for me to build a community with over there in Austin. But right now it was, you can't touch or feel the products. You can't try them on. And so it was just tons of social media posts. Like I probably posted 30 or 40 story posts on the day that I was going to launch the brand. And then like I posted like 2 times a day. I had like a whole like rollout plan for like content calendar of daily posts. And so the social media it was definitely, it went actually really well at the beginning, but then I didn't account for momentum. And so I realized you have to keep momentum high or else it's just going to drop right back down. So I had when I initially said I was going to launch, I had everyone reposting me and I was posting a lot, drove a ton of traffic. And then, I launched and then I posted a couple things here and there. I'm getting ready to launch my next collection. I don't have the product in hand yet. There's not as much for me to post. And so now it's like nothing on social media. And I do compare myself to, I look at other brands. I'm like, their customers are sending them and tagging them in all these pictures that they can use for content. And it's just like, where is all the content coming from? How do they have time to actually do this? They're bigger, they have more staff, but it is hard to play easy to play the comparison game there.
Yeah.
So do either of you have, I won't say a solution for it, but do you have a plan in place to navigate that world a little bit more easily moving forward? Is it, I'm going to dedicate the 3 posts a day. I'm going to spend 6 hours on one day just to carve out the next 2 weeks worth of stuff. How are you guys currently navigating that? Because again, I've got to believe this is a challenge that every brand is facing, even if they're not startups, right? Social media is a tough kind of beast to tame. So what are you guys doing, if anything, in particular?
Yeah. So I do the sit down, for a couple hours and do it all. Mostly, like I'll do that on weekends. I have a full-time other job and family. But what I'm finding too, Josh, to your point, like your new collection isn't launched yet. It's like, I'm kind of tired of posting the same products, but it's like, I don't have, my new shipment isn't coming until maybe next week. And then like something in October, but like right now, like what I've got, sort of what you're seeing behind me is what I've got. And I'm like, how many different ways can I convince you to buy the same thing? But what I'm doing is going through like learning a little more about marketing and changing, going more for the storytelling, like as we've been talking about, and, it not being a transaction, because that's what I don't want my brand to be. So that also makes it hard, I feel, in social media, because I don't want to be kitschy and trendy. I don't want to, do some of these things that get a lot of likes because it doesn't fit my brand. So I'm being really careful to make sure I don't compromise for likes. So it's just taking my time. And then I'm also just kind of the personality that I want to do things right. Now, I know I'm going to look back on this first year and be incredibly embarrassed by most of my posts. But like, and I think part of what I've gotten into with this marketing course I'm taking, it's like now I'm like, oh, wait, I've been doing it wrong. Let me finish this whole course before I do more, because I don't want to keep doing it wrong in the meantime. So it's just working through all of that. And, I would say for most startups, you're doing something else. You're working, you're earning an income in another way. And this is probably a dream. I don't really like the term side hustle, because I think we're doing a lot more than side hustling. Like we are building a dream. But there's only so much time in a day to do it. So it's prioritizing, it's figuring out like what is going to be the best return for me, and just trying to follow that.
Well, I would say don't be embarrassed after the first year. You could always look back and like some things will be cringeworthy. I look back at things that I've done before, even professionally, and I'm like,
yeah,
half of which have been at OmniSun, but don't do it. So don't be embarrassed by it. I think it's a great accomplishment to have. I think just kind of knowing where you're going is a good step to have and a good mindset to have. How about you, Josh? Anything that you got planned to try to overcome this?
I would agree as well. And like, obviously I'm working full time as well. So it is hard to prioritize. There's only so much you can fit in a day. And when you're the person that's managing it, the thing is that the product in the moment is what I've learned is it's not as hard to post and sell the product in the moment, but it's if you don't have like consistent product coming out, or at least a consistent reason for customers to come back, like next month and 2 months and 3 months, like, I have my first collection come out in April, and then we're here in it end of August, almost September, and I just have my second collection about to be released. So everything takes 10 times longer than you originally anticipate, at least for me. And so I guess to get away from like the volatility in like the social media momentum or just traffic in general to the site and sales, repurposing content is something that I want to get a lot better at. I have some mentors in the clothing industry, and they've had some successful brands. They said the biggest thing that helped them was that they wrote down every single idea for content that they had, every single content that they've posted in the past, and then they said, how do I turn this piece of content into 4 different pieces of content? So if it's a social media post, can I do something where I put that in an email and I write an email about it? And now we have AI where you could write 4 bullet points and say, turn this into like an email or blog post, which I want to stay away from that to an extent, because I, like you, Robin, I want to build a community and like a very authentic messaging channel with them. And so I don't want to do the trends. I don't want to use like AI, like ChatGPT for everything, but just being able to brainstorm and just turn one piece of content into 4 different ideas and riff off of that until I have a week's worth of content. That's my strategy going forward, to get out of that like social media highs and lows there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too, Josh. Like one thing I want to do now is take what I'm doing on social, which is, as I say, it's rented space, and bring it into my email. So a lot of the gift ideas and things like that, it's like, okay, how can I now bring that into the email space where I know I can deliver this to a set of people who've already indicated interest in what I'm doing, but maybe they're not seeing it on Instagram and Facebook because Instagram and Facebook isn't delivering it to them, but I can through email with OmniSend.
So shameless plug, we'll take it. I want to circle back to social media in a minute, but while we're talking about email, I'm going to pivot the email and then shoot back to social media on something. I think it'll tie in. So we're trying to grow traffic beyond family and friends. We get new contacts to our website. Obviously, you both talk about emails, kind of a nurture type thing. So why don't you each take a moment, tell us what you're currently doing with email, if you have plans to do more with email, how it's going for you, because that's the one thing where we want to capture people coming in. We want to life cycle market to them, post-purchase things, to give them, to your point, Josh and Robin, a reason to come back again. But it takes content here. So Robin, if you want to start with you ladies first here, but tell us what you're doing with email so far, how it's going, and we can use this time to kind of banter and ask questions of each other as well, and then we'll shoot over to you, Josh.
So I am an OmniSend client. So I have the pop-up on my website to gather the email addresses. And I'm thinking, based on a video I saw by Greg Zakowicz today, might be a little bit old, but of adding SMS in there and just collecting those numbers for when I'm ready. So I've got that. I collect the emails. I try to do an email like once a week. Sometimes the gap is longer, never more than once a week, unless it's a boost of the one I was already sending. And then I have a lot of the automation set up. So I've got a welcome series. I've got abandoned cart. Some of the other ones, there's like a couple of different abandons. So, I've got those queued up, and I even had, personal feedback from somebody. They're like, oh, you sent me this email about something that was in my cart. And she went back and got it. So we know that works. I know it works personally as a shopper. As a matter of fact, in speaking of text, like as I was sitting here a moment ago, I had clicked on something from another like clothing brand, popped into the website, and then left because I was on a school Zoom meeting. And I got another text that said, hey, you've barely scratched the surface of this new collection. Why don't you come on back? And I'm like, wow, that was really compelling. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm doing in email and thinking about moving forward with text messaging as well.
So before you get into Josh, I'll say you have the key things there, right? Cart abandonment, absolutely must, but I think you're doing the right things. Traffic to the website, capture the sign up with the pop-up, got a welcome series. Can always fine tune that with content. kind of make it your own. Card, you probably have browse abandonment. That's probably the other abandonment you were talking about, which is good. So, like the browse abandonment, you get the SMS, which is interesting. I had this conversation on one of the podcasts a couple weeks ago with my colleague Gabe, but like I love browse abandonment SMS messages just as a consumer. Right, 30 minutes later, it's like, oh, come on back. You were checking out this product. It sounds like you like that as well, Robin.
Yeah, I mean, because people get busy. I mean, let's be frank. Like, we're doing a lot on our phones. It might be, while you're waiting to pick up a kiddo in car line or, standing in the grocery line, whatever it is, everyone's scrolling. So, having something that will bring you back to something you started and try to close that sale, I think is wonderful.
Awesome. And Josh, what are you doing with email? Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, so email is actually very tied in with SMS right now for me and above is it is kind of one of those things where my strategy is because it's limited drops and I am going off of the kind of build a lot of hype around the collection drops. Things may slow down a bit. Obviously, I'm going to try to repurpose content and keep more momentum up. But then right around the drop, increase sending, 3-4 emails a week, couple text messages, 1 to 2 weeks up until that drop, and then drop it. The biggest thing right now that I'm doing with email and SMS is exclusive shopping access. So I had a restock of my original drop, and just the way that the products are, I can just a simple site with clothing products, and that's really it. I don't have bundles yet and stuff. So Rob and I imagine that it might be a little bit more difficult for you to close off the site and do kind of gamify things, but the way I did it in the past was I blocked the site off, basically close the site down for 15 minutes before the launch. If you were signed up for my email and SMS list, you got 15-minute early access to shop essentially. And so I emailed and texted a code out, the password to the site. So the site's password protected. Use this password. You have 15 minutes before this launches to the public. And so that drove a ton of email and SMS signups. And then I look at the site, and then 15 minutes before launch, everyone's buying, and I almost sold out my collection before I actually dropped it, to the non-email and SMS contacts.
Great job.
And that wasn't, I didn't think about that on myself or by myself. I've seen that just from other clothing brands that have done really well. And so just looking at what other brands that I want to create a similar community with, looking at what they've been doing, and then just implementing it on my side has been the best strategy for email and SMS, because you get to see all their funnels if you opt into it. But that's what I'm doing now, and that's what I'll continue to do until I can have product on my site where I do have those paid ads running consistently and I have consistent sales coming in. But while I'm bootstrapping, I kind of have to leverage that more cost-effective messaging channel as much as I can.
So even though you're not doing drops, Robin, I still think that is a possibility for you, whether you do the whole site or even just product categories, right? So if you have a holiday gifting bundle or something like that, right, you could always do something like that just around that gifting bundle before it opens to the public as well. So beg, borrow, and steal ideas. I love the idea. Quick question about, because we do have Black Friday, Cyber Monday, obviously a huge shopping season. We talked about hot chocolate already for 3 times. Maybe 4, Rob, and so it's a good holiday season gift. Let's talk a second about discounting. Do you guys discount your products, and if so, do you have a max discount that you always go with? And if you don't, is it because of margins, or just that's how you want to build your brand?
I have done discounts. So new email subscribers get 10% off right off the bat. I have thought of increasing that, but not yet. The things that I will discount close to my margin will be stuff that I'm going to have to get rid of. Like I had some artisan marshmallows that have a shelf life. So it was getting close to that. And I was like, I cut it down to basically cost just so I could recover my investment in it. But that was also a lesson to me about, shelf life. So I'll do that. And then also, I like to treat my email subscribers to special discounts because I feel like they gave me their email address and that means something to me. So I want to give them something back and do that repeatedly. So, and I'll be perfectly frank on social media. I'm like, there's an email discount going out to subscribers only. That's the only way you can get it. So I'll see a little uptick when I do something like that, and then I'll drop the email with the discount in it. Not a ton of people actually use it though, but that could be the friends and family factor there. But yeah.
How about you, Josh?
Yeah, so I haven't discounted yet. And like I said, I'm still on my like I'm about to do my second drop. So I had my first drop, and then I had a restock of the hats because those sold out quickly, and wanted everyone to have one if they wanted one. And then the second drop, I still won't do discounts yet. I think Black Friday, Cyber Monday will be the only time I offer a discount, so that and it is mainly because of margins. Because in the clothing, I'm not sure about your margins, Robin, but the clothing, especially because I'm not like drop shipping it or doing print on demand. Like because we have like these stock on hand, it's so hard for me to like understand my costs and margins, and it's already at a price where I think is like I'm trying to offer like a luxury item that's accessible to people, and so discounting even more, I didn't want to come across as I had the margins already to discount easily, even though that's not why you discount, obviously. But especially on my first couple of drops, I wanted it to be, at least in the first year, I established the price point, and then once I have some consistent sales, and hopefully higher volumes of products, because I can get lower discounts or lower rates essentially on my wholesale costs at larger volume. So. Yeah, eventually maybe, but right now it'll probably be Black Friday, Cyber Monday is that would be the only discount I'll give out on that day.
Yeah. And I've heard the advice a lot that you shouldn't lower your price. You should wait for the right customer. So
Definitely.
that rings in my head a lot.
Yeah, so that's got it every day. Oh, sorry. I think about it every day. When I did, so my first drop sold out quickly, but it was a small batch because it was my first time. The second, and I got like overly confident when I did the reorder of the hats. I was like, cool, I sold out 50 hats in like the first day. This next order, all right, let's order 400 hats. So I was like, because everyone was hitting me up asking for them. And I had like close to 200 DMs on Instagram after asking for the hats, but not all 200 people went and bought the hats. So I ordered 400 hats, and now I have a lot of these hats I didn't sell on the next drop. And I sold quite a bit on the drop, but I was just way overly confident to order, to do like I don't even know the percentage increase of that order, but from 50 to 400 was just too cocky. And so I want to discount them every day, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what, longevity wise, I'm going to hold off on this, and like hopefully that'll pay dividends in the longer run. But it's also like, the clothing side of things is a little bit different, because if I'm marketing myself as like more of a luxury item, and so it just seemed a little bit counterintuitive for me to immediately discount like on my very first drop.
Yeah,
but in the future I definitely will.
So you're both mentioning something I think is a life lesson in general, but this is also very common of new business owners. I know years ago when I launched an e-commerce site, I went through all these exact same things. Like first customers, and then you overbuy because you're selling through something, and all of a sudden you stop selling through things, and ad spend, the whole 9 yards. But you're doing something, it's not working, and you both mentioned, so I learned something, right? It's a lesson learned at that point. It's just the growing pains everyone goes through. I was asking about discounting with the fact of learning the same thing here, because coming up on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, heavy discounting period, consumers expect discounts. Neither of you are really brands that are centered around like, hey, I'm going to give you 40% off all the time. You're trying to build a community. You're trying to build a product and a brand here that should allow you to discount less, if at all. And I think that's the challenge that most business owners are faced with, is like, how do you sacrifice profit for acquisition, right? And that's the challenge here. And this might be the time of year where you want to do it. You might not have the budget to do it because you're self-funded. So I was curious about like your approach to discounting and how you look at acquisition versus profitability on those things. Sounds like you're both focused. You're willing to weight the game a little bit
Yeah.
for acquisition over profitability, if that makes sense. But I don't know, just a thought there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like I said, for me so far, it's been things that have a shelf life. So, you know, if I discount it all the way to cost, I'm still going to recoup my money rather than trashing it. And I did have to trash a few products, and that's tough to do. The other thing that I've been consistently discounting is a jewelry line that I adore, but it's just not selling. So I'm not sure why. I mean, it is sort of a bolder, more colorful line. And, you know, the price point, I guess, is just not where my customers are. So it's kind of learning that too. It's like I'm kind of figuring out what people are willing to spend. And it's like they'll pick up a few things at that same price, but they wouldn't pick up one thing at that total price, if that makes sense. So it's like they might spend $75, but they're more comfortable spending $75 picking up 3 things than 2 or 1. So, you know, I'm learning that. And, you know, and again, like I, for the most part, feel like I can have the patience to just wait for the right customer because I've only been doing this a little bit. And, you know, summer's an abysmal time for online shopping. So I kind of feel like even just this last 3 months, I can't judge anything on the last 3 months, and I haven't done a holiday season yet. So like, I kind of want to get the full year before I start thinking about any of those strategies. And I do like to use a discount for acquisition. So it's like, let me pull you in with this discounted product so that you see everything else on the site while you're there.
Well, so that's good insight. How many products they'll buy for a certain dollar figure, right? So if you ever go down the bundle route or you're highlighting like gifts for the holiday season, right? It gives you an idea about, hey, they like 3 at 75. Kind of put a 4th one in there, make it really seem valuable of 75, and you just kind of shift that price point a little bit. So,
yeah.
All right. So I want to get into just a couple quick answers, but I want to circle back to social media real quick. So the one thing we didn't talk about today, and I know neither of you are doing a lot with paid media or paid social up to this point, but it'll probably pick up at some point, I would imagine. For both of you, influencers, and I'm not talking about like your major influencers, but micro and macro influencers, could be your local ones as well. Have either of you guys looked into using influencers either from a barter or paid standpoint? And has anyone, if you have you either of you guys talked to influencers down that road?
I have not, and I don't know how you even go about it, other than that I get kind of some creepy DMs about it. And I'm like,
Want a collab?
And I'm like, no. So, yeah, I mean, I reached out to a couple of friends who are entrepreneurs, but like we couldn't quite figure out the fit. And maybe I'm just an oddball in e-commerce. I'm not sure. Maybe there's just no place for an online gift shop. Well, you know, figure that out in another year or so. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if I could, I've been trying to find people that I can jump on their bandwagon or coattails, but I don't really know how to go about that.
Anything on your side, Josh?
Yeah, for me, influencer, that was like, and I like this because it seems like we're like kind of alternating strategies here, and like social media and influencers is the number one, is the reason why I started this in the first place. When I did, I always knew I wanted to start this, but the timing was perfect because I do have a lot of friends that are like professional athletes, so where I or friends of friends that are professional athletes, and so I knew that if I created a brand that kind of fit in with who their followers were, which it lined up to where now like these athletes are like, you know, DMing me and asking, hey, when's the next drop? I want to wear this again on game day. So that's like my only strategy before I do any paid ads. I'm going to kind of exhaust those, not exhaust them, but like just get as much product onto influencers that I know as possible, and then use like pictures of them if they are like consent to that, use those for paid ads as well. On the influencer side, what I've seen to work with influencers that I don't know, like I'll have who was it recently? Someone from the Dallas area reached out and said that they heard from me from a friend at a FC Dallas game, soccer game. And so I was like, oh man, well, my target market was at a soccer game. And so I'm going to reach out to the FC Dallas guys. So I reached out to some of the FC Dallas guys, and one of them agreed to wear my hat. All I said was, hey, run a clothing brand. A lot of the people that wear my brand go to the games. Would love to like send you out some hats if they fit in with any of your game day outfits. And he responded, cool. And that was it. And I said, great, where do I send a box? And he just sent an address, and that was it. And so I sent him a bunch of hats, and he said he'd wear it on game day. So a lot of it comes down to the strategy. I guess the big buzzword is seeding. And so like the seeding influencers, where you're not necessarily reaching out to like managers and agencies and paying for a bunch of promotions, but just planting a couple seeds here and there, reaching out, hey, I love your content, I love the personal brand that you're building. I think that you would really enjoy these products, and they would fit in with your current content. Can I send you something for free? No strings attached. And so if that soccer player doesn't end up wearing my stuff, so be it. Maybe he'll wear it going to get his mail one day, and at least one person will see it. But if on the off chance that he does wear it on a game day when he's walking through the gates and they get all the professional photos, I mean, that's a risk that I'm willing to take cost wise, because I just sent him a couple hats.
Sure.
So yeah, I just kind of looked at to answer the question, Greg, looked at like where is my target market at? Like, where do they hang out at? Are they hanging out on, like TikTok, or what side of TikTok are they on? Like either personal development, what I found personal development, like the workout side of TikTok, or the fashion side of TikTok. Who are the top people in that like realm? And then like who on TikTok and Instagram, you can look at related profiles. So I'll look at who is the top. I'll look at the related profiles, and that'll eventually filter you down to influencers that are around 50,000 to 100,000 contacts, or contacts. I keep saying contacts from OmniSend, 50,000 to 100,000 followers. And then that's much more approachable for you to reach out and hopefully get the DM read. So that's what I've been doing now. It's been working. And we'll see the fruits of that hopefully in the next couple months when the collection comes out. Hopefully they wear it. So we're
Awesome.
not done with that yet. But that's an idea. I was thinking about like my wife. I'm not sure if you know who KJP is. Like he's like a big influencer on Instagram. I'll send you the link. But that is kind of more of they're very like kind of novelty, like fall and winter, like very kind of like a cozy feel, I guess. I think it would fit in with your brand. So
Yeah.
reach out to him or similar brands or similar social media influencers that are related, just by doing like the Instagram related feature. So yeah, I'll send over the link here in a second when I can get this thing to load here.
I love the coming together. It's like peanut butter and jelly or mac and cheese or something. It's wonderful. So if I were to say, what is the one biggest challenge that each of you want to solve over the next 12 months? What would you say that would be?
For me, I would say, oh, sorry, go ahead, Robin.
I was gonna say growing my email list.
Yeah, for me, I would also say email us as well, because like you mentioned, Robin, like rented audiences and then owned audiences, and definitely need to use the rented audiences to grow the owned audiences. And I know that's like the fundamental rule, but it's easier said than done. So that's absolutely my goal there. But I would say just less on the marketing side and really more on the product side. So you can market all day, but if you don't, at the end of the day, like the best brands with the best products win no matter what. And so right now it's like 80% of my focus is on building like a world-class product, and then 20% showing that in the most efficient way possible. And then once I get, a streamlined like manufacturing process, I can start to hire more people or, dedicate more time to to building the marketing, just marketing like operations in general. But yeah, to me, I would rather have less sales now and a better product than more sales and like customers that are just getting a mediocre product or, subpar.
Yeah.
Great. And this would be for those people who are either just launching their e-commerce store or think about launching an e-commerce store. If you had to do it all again, knowing what you know now, and the answer cannot be don't order 400 hats.
I was going to say
what's the one thing you guys would do differently?
Well, I went from idea to launch really quickly. And Greg, I don't know if I've really shared with you how much credit you really have for this. But it really spawned from, introducing me to Harry and his new store, and then giving me the Vera Bradley book, were two things that really propelled me into doing this. And it's like, once I decided, because it was an epiphany, it's like, yes, I want to like cause related gift shop that is going to help people connect, help people have more meaningful relationships through thoughtful gift giving. And I'm not a very patient person, so I kind of rushed ahead with it. And I was in this situation where it's like, well, I need a website. My husband decided we weren't going to do bricks and mortar. He's like, can you just try this online first? Let's minimize the overhead and the risk. But it's like, okay, I need products to have a website, but now I've bought all these products and I really want to sell them so that I can keep going. So I went from like idea to launch in about 2.5 months. So that was learning everything, launching everything, sourcing products, getting them in, getting a website built. So I think my first bit of advice would be slow down, learn more before you launch, but also realize at some point you just have to launch. Like, because there's the opposite side too. There are the people that are so afraid of getting it wrong that they never go live, or they take a really long time. So you've got to find that happy medium of go ahead and hit the live button, take the password protection off the website, but then also, I think for me, I would have done just a little bit more education and preparation ahead of time.
Very good. So real quick, Harry Cunningham works for Vera Bradley, launched Good Market. So Harry, you get a shout out today if you're watching. Kudos to you, and power of a simple introduction. There you go. So just make the introduction if someone needs it. All right, Josh, how about you? And thank you for that, by the way. I did not know that, but thank you.
Yeah, kudos to you, Robin, for launching in 2 months. That gives me anxiety. I actually, funny you say that. It's complete opposite for me, and I think like the biggest takeaway is that like the way you said happy medium. I think that's the perfect advice to give, because I took 2 years to launch, and I've been thinking about this it wasn't like I just like wanted to launch a brand and then 2 years later I launched it. It was, I wanted to launch this brand. For 2 years, I spent testing manufacturers. I spent testing, like stress testing the products. So I would get, like a performance shirt, and I would work out in it for 6 months. And like, is this something that I could sell that would last 6 months? I don't know until I wear it for 6 months. I thought, oh, that's just such what an admirable story and a way to test products. I can use that and tell customers later on. But at the end of the day, everyone was texting me and DMing me and calling me like, hey, when can I actually buy the product from this brand? Like at this point, like I'm either gonna buy this or buy something else, So like I only have, they're only either gonna spend so much money when your customers are like looking to budget. So if I hype something up and it plants it in their head that there's gonna be a cool streetwear brand coming out, and then now they're already thinking about that, and then I wait 2 years, it's like maybe that like the emotion I've already caused them in the beginning is faded. If that makes sense. So yeah, I would say
you have to look committed to your idea. So
exactly,
if you're not out there talking about it, they're gonna think, well, is she still doing this? Is this still her thing? Was this a passing fancy? and yes, it's me in my guest room, but like I don't want the outside world realizing that. Like I want to look like a professional, legitimate brand that's here to stay and build that trust with people I don't even know. So yeah, I mean, I think what you did was amazing, and you're in a very different space because you're the producer as well. So it was a lot easier for me to ramp up because I was just looking for good brands that I wanted to represent. But I mean, I think that's amazing what you did.
Every day I always tell myself, like, man, I should have just started like a store where I got a bunch of brands together, like curated them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that the opportunity for curation is so high right now. And I'm not sure if you've heard about Shopify Collective, but you can actually bring products from other like e-commerce stores into your store now, and like just create like more of a curated collection, just little like affiliate incentive almost. But anyway, you should look into that. I think that could be a cool idea for you. But yeah, on my side, it was like the brand name being Above Sportswear ABUV, and it was like a playoff of the notion above the noise. And so the whole reason, or not the whole reason, but the whole like concept of the name and how it came to be was because me and a friend were like, let's create a brand. He's no longer part of this, but when we were originally starting 2 years ago, it was we were sitting there and we were going back and forth for so long on what do we name the brand, when do we launch, all this stuff. 2 years later, we're like, okay, we've spent thousands of dollars on testing manufacturers. We've done all this stuff. We still don't have a brand name yet because we're like, let's build a product first. And then I think one of us said, we just got to stay like above the noise. It was like during COVID too. So like just a lot of noise in the world in general. One of us said, well, let's just stay above the noise right now. Let's pick a name. We'll launch. If it sucks, then we'll rebrand. And I was like, well, what about that's perfect. Above the noise. Let's just name it Above. We couldn't find any good domain name with the word above. And so let's just misspell it. And so ABUV. And so that made me launch that notion. I was like, I can't start this brand. Like you were saying, like you don't want people to think you just dropped off. It's like, I can't start this brand, have the notion of like, have it mean being above the noise, but then be so like slow to get moving and actually make decisions. So like, let's just be above the noise right now, like live out the mission of this, and then let's launch. And people loved it. So I think launching earlier would have been much more beneficial to like at least the product roadmap too, because now I know like what people like. I could have known what they like sooner, and to inform my decision for the next collections.
Very good. Are you guys ready for a little bit of fun before we finish up here?
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to do a lightning round. It's going to be 5 questions. Don't worry about talking over each other. Just yell out the first answer that comes to your head. And we're going to go now. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
Absolutely not.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Never seen it.
I said a long time ago, I would say no, but I can see the case for why it is.
Is it burnt bread or burnt toast?
Burnt toast.
Peanut butter, creamy or crunchy?
Crunchy.
Creamy.
And pineapple on pizza, fair or foul?
Yes, I had it last night.
Perfect. Every Friday.
Very good. All right, Robin with Thoughtful Collection, Josh with Above Sportswear. Thank you both for your time, your openness, your candid conversation. I really do appreciate it. I wish you both nothing but the best of luck in the upcoming holiday season and beyond. And if anyone's looking for some unique gifts this season, be sure to check out the website, thoughtfulcollection.com, and Above Sportswear, spelled as Josh just mentioned, ABUV, sportswear.com, both of which are linked in the video description, so it's an easy place to click and find them.